Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of before the 2018 Farm Bill passed, there was only a few of us hempsters that were around, and we were all pretty much around for the right reasons, and we'd been around, and whether it was a family member that this miracle plant helped heal, like our son, or just loved the plant for the the way that it helps the planet, or whatever it was. There was just good people.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we discuss this miracle plant with so many names and how it's helping people in so many extraordinary ways. Well, guess what? It is podcast number 200. What's funny is, like, when I started this back in early, in the COVID days, I remember thinking, it was Seth Godin that said he would come on anyone's podcast if they had done 100 podcasts, and there was, some relevant content with the audience. And so that was kind of my first goal, was like, let's get to 100. And I remember getting so excited to get to 100. And then we had our 100th podcast episode, and we did some recaps and some favorite stories and shares and things like that. And it was really good and kind of even emotional. And now here it's 200, and it's like overnight, it feels like we've gotten here to 200. And, so much has changed. And that's really what I want to focus on in this 200th episode, of kind of looking back to where we were, to where we are, to where we're going, especially in the cannabis space, but also my journey. As far as, things, the big change was how this podcast got started. Was this world opened up, this online digital world, which I didn't even really knew existed. I was much more of a belly-to-belly salesman, as they call it, toe-to-toe. You go out to conferences, and I remember going to NoCo, and before that I was in financial space, and before that I was in real estate and direct marketing, and you would go to conferences, and you would meet people, and you would talk to people. And then obviously when COVID happened, that all went away. Zoom was around before then, March of 2020, but boy, it just changed the world. It's funny now these days. I have lots of calls and things, and lots that I'm doing, especially, with Russell and Secrets of Success. And it's so funny that the default is always to go to Zoom. And for those of you that know me, it's like I'm always doing 7 things, right? Whether it's, multiple businesses, multiple kids, going to different offices, going to activities, just all, I feel like I'm always in the car. I'm always going somewhere. Swing by the grocery store to grab something. So it's like, if I'm going to sit in front of a Zoom, that limits my capacity. That limits my ability to do 6 or 7 other things. So, and I also like to go to the gym every day. And so, it's just like, it's like, COVID's over. Let's go back to phone calls. But also the good news is that we can go and see each other again. And there's been such a huge blossoming of these in-person events, experiences, in-person events. And it's like the connection has never been stronger, right? So we've made all these friends online and in the digital world, and then you get to meet them in the physical world. And there's still some people that I haven't met in the physical world that I've become like partners with, or really good friends. And it's kind of funny how that all shakes out. But so that's one of the biggest changes for sure, is that even the podcast being launched, all those Zoom calls, and this whole new digital world, and marketing online and things of that nature. And that's really what led us down, the Russell's world, of course, to really understand how do we get our message out. And it's been such an amazing journey. It's been a little over 4 years now, which sometimes feels like a long time and sometimes feels like a short time, that I've really got to understand what's working, and just really becoming a digital marketing expert. which, when you put in 4 years of your life dedicating to, basically one thing, you become an expert. And I'm just excited to see all the new changes. Like number one, right now, the big thing that's working for marketing, if you're looking to market your business or your personal brand, is organic. Now, organic used to mean SEO, which means search engine optimization, which means when you type something in the search box of Google, based how your website was set up or your funnel, Google would spider the words in the website, and if there was any links from any like big publishers like Forbes and things like that, and they would give you what I call Google juice for you to show up on the first page when someone Googles some keywords that you want them to find your website. So that's kind of what I knew organic to be, but organic has changed, especially with the invention of video. Now that's YouTube video, that's Instagram video, TikTok video, which I still don't understand if they're going to ban it or not, or I don't know, they keep going back and forth. Fortunately, I never got into TikTok, and I don't see any real reason to do it now, because I couldn't imagine if I invested all the followers and things and then they could just take it away. But that's what platforms do, and that's why we talk so much about. The important thing is you can find people, or people can find you on social media, but your job is to get them into your list, whether it's a text list or an email list or a phone list or even a mailing address list. Some of those old school things are coming back, which are a lot of fun. So like I was saying, organic is the way these days. Paid ads are through the roof, especially in restricted industries like CBD. It's just really difficult to get them up and keep them running. And when you run ads, you need to test them, and you need to run new ads. And if your ads get disapproved or something gets flagged, then they can shut your account down. And we tried that for a few years and just eventually said it just wasn't worth the hassle. But in the meantime, the crazy part is that now it's organic is the way. So that's what we're seeing these days. So and when I say organic, what's working is these videos, right? So whether it's a short form content or whether it's a long form content. So when it comes to like organic video, we're talking about like, doing a short reel, right? Where you have, a clear message. Sometimes it's like, these 3 things will help you get the results you're after. And you go and you list those 3. And then at the end, you say, if you want to hear more, comment, 3 things in the comments. And then you can have, you can either do it yourself and manually send something out, or you can have automation like ManyChat or a VA, virtual assistant, respond to them and send out a link to your website or a link to your funnel. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is like doing it in a series. So it's like day 1 of me losing 30 pounds and you start, documenting your journey. That's another way. And then it's like day 2, day 3, day 4, so people can consume all of your content as you're documenting your journey. Other ways are doing things like podcasts and, having people on your podcast, interviewing people about what they're doing. If they have a big following, maybe you get on their podcast and you look for what's called the Dream 100. And that's always a major play, is when you can find the people out there who already have accumulated your Dream 100 audiences and, getting on either their podcast or they go on your podcast or figuring out some way to collaborate. That's all organic, right? That's not paid. So that's really what it means. Organic is like, if you've got more time than money, then you go with organic. If you've got more money than time, then you can go with paid ads. But even these days, paid ads have been so expensive, the cost per leads, that even Russell's, who's, spending $1, $2, $3 million a month is going all in on organic, because the ROI on Facebook ads and Instagram ads and Google ads and YouTube ads just isn't there. And that's the thing, is when you put in the time for organic and you have you build an organic following like Ryan Panetta did, and Russell was recently on his podcast, or Alex Hormozy, who comes from Russell's world in the inner circle. They put the time in, which can take a year or 2 of being consistent, daily content, weekly webinars, which Russell always preaches. But over time, now you've built up this like massive snowball that's rolling down the hill and getting bigger and bigger, especially that wet snow, if you guys know what I mean, back from the Midwest. Great for snowballs and for snowmen and for snowballs rolling down hills, collecting momentum, so you can have millions of followers. And once you have millions of followers, then it's like a faucet you can't turn off. So now you've got people that are, interested in what you have to say. And then when you send offers out to them, you make offers to them that would help them or solve their biggest problems in their lives, they're going to say yes, and you don't have to pay for it. You had to pay for it with, what they call sweat equity, like, blood, sweat, and tears of posting videos, which is easy these days. Like shooting videos, I was, Christine Morel's a friend of mine, and she's got a cool little mastermind that she started, and she blocks out 3 hours every month to shoot 30 videos. And so she knows she has at least one video per day. And then she'll do some impromptu stuff too as well, kind of in her personal life with her son. But she knows 3 hours out of the month, she's going to shoot 30 videos. And with AI, you can come up with a bunch of ideas. And that's it. That's her content strategy. And she's getting millions of views per video. And what she does is when she sees an organic video pop, like it hits 1 million views or something crazy, she knows that that's one that people like. And so then she pours gas on that fire by turning that into a paid ad. So that would be a strategy for using both, is try it first with organic, see if the audience, if the world likes it. And I was just on a call with her yesterday. She's like, and I never know. Like, I think that this is a silly thing. And then all of a sudden it becomes this massive viral thing. And then I just turn that into an ad. And she also was funny because she was talking, she goes, my ads run for years. And so I told her, I put in the quotes or whatever, I said, that's what you need to make your next hook. Christine Morel, my ads run for years. And so she's got ads literally that have run for over 4 years because they are getting a return on investment. And if you get a good organic video, then you can turn it into a paid ad. And she obviously focuses on funny ads. She's awesome. So again, that's the world that we live in. Before the podcast started, before COVID, March of 2020, we were opening up multiple stores. We had plans to open up many more. We had plans to open up international. We were really focused on growing it kind of the old school way. But then everything shifted, and people were conditioned to buy online, right? That's just the way it is. You buy stuff online. Even I buy stuff online. And it's like, sometimes I can't stand that I buy something from Amazon, but man, do they make it easy. You know what I mean? Especially if you're like me and you have an idea and you want to get the idea to fruition. So it's like, I needed to put some soundproofing stuff up in my studio. And, you go to Amazon, you type in soundproof, and then you get some of the little tiles or whatever that you put up. And it's just, and then you've got the reviews there that you can check. So, I try to support local whenever I can, but I don't know a company that does that. You know what I mean? Who does soundproofing? Does Best Buy do it? They're not a local company. So, I mean, again, there are those exceptions, but at least I'm mindful about it. At least I feel bad when I do it. But my point is that we've all been conditioned to shop online. So whatever it is that you're doing, if you or want to do, launch a movement or sell something or personal brand or whatever, I highly, 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 highly encourage that you figure out and implement some of the things that I am talking about. I mean, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars learning this information, and I'm giving it away. That's just in my nature. I don't know why. It's who I am. And but it's on you to take action. And one thing that I would definitely encourage is that do all the research you want about who you're going to follow, like I did with Russell and digital marketing. And, through friends like Joe Soto and Ken Walls, and, getting their opinions and insights, and trusting my instincts as well. And then once you decide who your coach is going to be, who your mentor is going to be for a specific subject, then you go all in, is my advice. You don't listen to other people on that subject. Like if someone starts to talk about that subject, you turn the channel. I guess we don't have channels anymore, do we? You go to the next video, scroll or whatever. And I think that's so important, because I remember when I first started this journey that I was listening to a lot of different people, and a lot of different people were having their own opinions, and they wanted to stand out, and they were contradicting each other. I know, like a real simple example is like Gary Vee. Gary Vee is all about build your brand, put in the work for 10 years, and then you'll have something massive. And then Russell's all about direct response, build the funnel, see at each step of the funnel, each, web page, if you will, what's the conversion rate? Is it profitable? Make adjustments based on that, on everything that you do. So there's a direct correlation to each visitor to your website versus the Gary Vee way. Well, if you were listening to both of them, your head would explode, because they're telling you two very opposite things. And so obviously I chose Russell, and others have chose Gary Vee. I don't know Gary Vee's success stories because I don't follow him. But again, that would be my advice to you, is to whatever you decide that you want to do. It's the simplest way to get there is to find someone that's already done it and has helped many, many other people do it as well. Document it. So now, and that's the proof. That's the goodies right there. So it's one thing to do it, but it's one thing to actually be successful at teaching other people how to do it. And so that would be my advice, whatever it is that you're looking for. All right, so enough about the marketing stuff. So obviously it's May 2024 when I record this, and we're talking about federal legalization and the Farm Bill. So there's two big things that are on the horizon here. Federal legalization of cannabis, aka marijuana, which is anything more than 0.3% THC, sounds like it's going to actually happen. I don't, not until the ink dries do I believe it. Just knowing our government. But the plan is right now it's a Schedule 1 on the Controlled Substance Act, meaning that there is no medicinal value and it's very highly addictive. That's where marijuana is right now. Many people were incarcerated for it. Many lives were ruined for possessing it. But now they are doing a decent job, from what I hear, of at least federally letting people out of prison and things like that. But now they're going to take it from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 is the plan. Obviously, we want it descheduled off the schedule, but it's always about the money. I just know there's going to be some play by Big Pharma here to try and monopolize it. Anyways, that could just be my skepticism, but I've seen this game long enough to know what usually, and it's always money that runs these things. And so anyways, they're going to break it down to a Schedule 3, which means it does have medicinal value, and it's very unlikely that it is addictive. Basically, that's the kind of the general terms of it, which means we can also do more research. There can be more access. That will be a good thing overall, I hope. I'm happy that it's not going to a Schedule 2, because then it would have to have FDA approval, and it would totally go through the Big Pharma arm and branch. So who knows? Maybe they'll try and swap it at the last second. But it does feel like, from my friends and lawyers who are in the world, I haven't heard any real big red flags, which I was kind of expecting. So right now, it feels like it's a good move for the plant, for more access for people around the world who are suffering needlessly because they believe that it will just get them high and it will, whatever. It's against the law. And so that'll be exciting when that passes. Last I checked, there's like a 60-day public review period, something to do with the DEA. So we'll see how that all shakes out here. To me, it's probably a little political too. Obviously Joe Biden's in the White House, and if he wants to get that younger vote, that's probably something that at least all Americans can agree on. Last I saw, over 2/3 of Americans believe that we should have access to medical cannabis. And so that's something that goes across the aisle. So it's kind of a no-brainer to put that feather in your cap as we come down to election time here in November. So there's that. Second thing, more hemp-related, is the Farm Bill of, I guess it's going to be 2024, maybe 2025, who knows. right now there's a little bit of a scare in there that the marijuana community is, lobbyists are pushing to have something put in the Farm Bill that says they're going to mask it that they want to get rid of the D8, the Delta 8, that derivative that people have been synthetically making to get you kind of like a little stoned from hemp, and it's like not from hemp. They chemically change the CBG or the CBD into this Delta 8, which the plant doesn't make. And people have been selling it in states like Texas where a medical marijuana or marijuana is illegal. So they sell this like cooked up stuff that they got from hemp, and it gets you kind of high, called Delta 8. And there's been a big fight about it. And so they're going to use that as the mask to say, well, we got to get rid of these Delta 8 products. And in the meantime, how we'll do that is no product can have any THC. And if they did that, then that would give the monopoly to any type of THC-related products back to the dispensaries and to the pharmaceutical companies. They already have a THC-based product, Marinol, I believe is the name. So again, it's money, it's power games, power struggles. I don't think it'll pass. There's just too much organization. There's too many good lawyers, and it's not right. There's a federal bill that says 0.3 THC is legal, and in fact, our hope was to get that up to 1% THC, what would be defined as hemp, to take the burden off of the farmer and make things easier, especially now that we transition more into fiber and grain and textiles, the industrial uses of the plant. We can make plastic, we can make batteries, things that makes it a renewable, sustainable option for our planet, for Mother Earth. So, but they're going to pass some version of that, whether it's this year or next year, we'll see. There are some things in there. They got rid of they cleaned some things up in the Farm Bill as well. Obviously, it's not on the floor. It's not being voted on yet. As we get closer to negotiating the bill, I'll have a report back. Maybe I'll bring our good friend Seth Godin, the hemp attorney out here in California, on as we get closer, or when it passes, to give you the real lowdown of what that means to the hemp industry. And then there's the elephant in the room. They do like peanuts, don't they? Is what happened to the CBD hemp world? I was on a podcast the other day, this good dude named Tyler, and he's got like a hemp marketplace kind of deal. And I mean, it reminds me of before the 2018 Farm Bill passed, there was only a few of us hempsters that were around, and we were all pretty much around for the right reasons, and we'd been around, and whether it was a family member that this miracle plant helped heal, like our son, or just loved the plant for the the way that it helps the planet, or whatever it was. There was just good people in this space. And then when the Farm Bill passed, obviously that's when Wall Street and a lot of people's venture capitalists, a lot of people saw the dollar signs. And that was cannabis and hemp at the same time. They were kind of attached at the hip. And so there was just so much excitement about all of it, and everyone was throwing money at it. And then the stocks all crashed for cannabis. And then the COVID, whether it was oversaturation or a combination of that, along with COVID and the lockdowns and not being able to sell the products easily online because of the major marketing platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, not allowing you to run ads. Whatever it was, I don't know where the numbers are, but they can't. We're probably somewhere, believe it or not, where we were before the Farm Bill, would be my guess. So let's say there was 10,000 hemp CBD companies at the height, and before COVID there was probably 1,000. So I bet we're closer to probably 1,000 or 2,000 companies that are around. then there's good and bad in that. That's for sure, right? I mean, the good is that the people that are here for the right reasons, and they've got a good product that people are reordering. Otherwise, you go out of business. And for those of you that have tried our products, obviously people love them because they work, because they're raw. And it's called whole plant raw hemp, which makes, the plant makes CBDA, which is the acid precursor, which means it's just the fresh way that the plant makes CBDA, and there's no need to process it and cook it and burn it and turn it into CBD. Just leave it the way the plant made it, and it's up to 1,000 times more effective, according to Dr. Raphael Mechoulam, the godfather of cannabinoid medicine. So those are the kind of the latest and greatest, looking back over the years. And obviously, Dan Humiston, who still produces the show and has been real busy, and we've been trying to get him back on. My mom, who's back in, Janet Benton Gaylord, she's back in Nebraska, hanging out with her grandkids out there. She still does the consultations. I believe they're on Thursdays. If you go to askjanet.org, you can set up a free Zoom call with her for like a half an hour. She's a brilliant holistic healer, really focused on plant-based medicine, and food is our medicine. So if you have any health issues, certainly reach out to her. Dan's been great as a co-host and a producer. He's got an incredible platform called PodConX, PodConX.com, that hosts a lot of other cannabis shows, but he's also opening that up to other genres as well. So if you're interested in having your podcast hosted on PodConX, like the Miracle Plan is, reach out to Dan. He's a wonderful guy. It's been an amazing journey as far as the podcast goes, and the mission. So many families have changed. I've been working in the store in Ventura, California more often lately, so I get to actually see some of the people again that I haven't seen for 5, 6, 7 years, which is crazy. And they're still coming back, and they're still loving our product, and they're still, when anyone runs out, boy, they come running and banging on the door because, this product, obviously, it makes such a huge impact on your health, whether it's stress, whether it's pain, whether it's sleep, or another more complicated health issue. I don't know how we'd live without it. Like we all have these little minor things pop up in life, sometimes major things, health related. And I know that I got this plant that's going to help me, right? Whether it's I just got over a cold. I knew I was taking a bunch of 1,600 milligram for that. Or if you've got an ache or a pain, you put the roll-on on or take the sublingual oil. I just know that it's always there for me. If there's anything wrong with my body, like I even had some varicose veins the other day, and I was putting some samples on. I was like, I'll put some on there. And I swear, it went down 90% on my left leg. It's just crazy. It's like, so what is the issue? Whatever the issue is, this miracle plant is going to help. And the mission is to get this message out, especially this miracle plant in the raw form, just like orange juice, freshly squeezed orange juice, to 1 billion people by 2025. And the way we're going to get there, as best I can tell, is by doing these things we talked about earlier in the podcast, which is marketing online, partnerships, affiliate partnerships, JV partnerships, education, webinars, documenting the journey. These are the things this is what works in 2024. It's like there's companies out there like Sears and Roebuck. Actually, it's called Sears, but it was Sears and Roebuck when they're first sending out the catalogs. And they're not around anymore, right? But companies that made adjustments, like Target or Walmart, they went online. Did you know Walmart's bigger? What was I reading that? It blew me away that they were doing, they're one of the biggest companies in the world. I didn't realize they were so big. I was looking at cap trading for the stock market, and they were top 10 up there with Amazon and everybody else. And they transitioned. Walmart certainly went online, not to the capacity of Amazon, but it's just one of those things where, and Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $60 million. That was an offer on the table that was going to be accepted, but Blockbuster couldn't see far enough into the future. And anticipation is, probably the most treasured asset to have in business. And now I don't know how many billions of dollars Netflix is worth. And Blockbuster's no longer around. But apparently there's like one or two stores in Alaska that is still open, which is kind of cool. So anyways, for those of you that remember Blockbuster. But again, for this day and age, this is what I'm hearing from the latest and the best in the world of how you can get your message out. That's how we're getting our message out. We're showing up every week for 200 episodes. It's a lot of commitment. I travel a lot and have a lot going on, but I get my podcast out there to Dan and the team, and they get it up there, and now you're listening to it. And it's been an amazing journey. I know that overachievers like myself, we're always looking for the next level, and to get to 1 billion people by 2025, it's going to take another miracle. But I have the belief, and all it takes is one thing that can forever change your life. We've gotten to know John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, and his one thing was Oprah. And he got on Oprah's show, and they did a whole segment on his book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And now he's sold over 50 million copies, which is probably only like 12 books in the world that's ever sold 50 million copies. And one of them is the Bible, right? But it just takes one thing. And so, I'm confident and hopeful that because this plant has so much of intrinsic and just value, utility for the human race and our pets. Let's not forget the dogs and the cats and the horses love our products too. That, as long as I keep showing up and I keep looking for opportunities and ways to get this message out, it will happen because it needs to happen. We all know pharmaceutical drugs and the side effects, and they're killing us and all that craziness when you listen to the commercials like, here's a laundry list of things, including death, if you take this pill for that rash. It's like, no, I'll just keep the rash. Or get some raw Renew, of our skin treatment made with raw hemp and raw mango butter and all organic, and rub that on there, see what happens. No side effects. But then the next commercial is that there's a class action lawsuit about the previous drug that was out 5 years ago, like Vioxin, that killed a bunch of people. And so it's like, obviously that method isn't working, right? It's not sustainable. It's sustainable for the big pharma companies because they have insurance policies that cover them. And so they still end up making a profit even when they get fined and sued after they settle. But it's not sustainable for the human race. Obviously, we know our food system is as toxic as any country in the world here in the U.S. Our water is poisoned. That's why you need to be drinking distilled water, or at least reverse osmosis water, or good, clean, natural spring water. And we got to be taking care of ourselves. And that's ultimately what this plant does, is that it opens up the Pandora's box for us to realize that we are in control of our health. We cannot rely upon government. We cannot rely upon agencies. We cannot rely on other people. We cannot give responsibility of our health over to other people. Now, you can certainly, assess a great team of health practitioners and professionals around you that align with what you believe to be true. But I always say that, we'll get into a car accident and we'll go get 3 estimates. But, we have a health accident or crisis, and we go to our doctor and we listen to the first thing they say and we go do it, including like going into surgery that day or the next day without getting another estimate, without sleeping on it, without praying on it, without meditating on it, without thinking about it, without seeing how that aligns with who we are, without looking for other options and alternatives. The world has changed, and it wasn't always like this. They say that plant-based medicine is alternative medicine. No, it's not. We can trace this plant back 8,000 years, medically journals in the Orient that we've been using it. It's only been the last 100 years or so that we've been using these white pills, these chemistry sets, with profit as the main driver behind them to try and play God with humans. And that is the alternative medicine. And we know the side effects. We know unfortunately, people have died. You've probably known someone. I mean, I've seen it with our dog. We took our dog into the vet and after an episode, and she was dead that night. After, here, take these pills. Dead. And, we didn't know about CBD back then. Sweet lady, Cavalier. So again, it's been an amazing journey, 200 episodes. Like I said, I never even thought about it. I'm proud of everybody that's been a part of this, whether it's Dan or Janet or the amazing guests that we've had from like Clubhouse. And I'm proud of you for listening, and I'm proud of you for forwarding this to someone that it could help, because we do talk about things on here that people never really heard before. Like, there's not many people that, that have heard of juicing cannabis or eating raw cannabis and it helping your health. And so it can be a stretch for some people, and maybe you're worried about what other people might think or stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you care about them, then it's on them. At least you expose them to this information. And I could give you hundreds of studies. You can go to pubmed.gov, look up all this stuff for yourself. We've been researching this plant for decades. It was just buried because it was a Schedule 1, which meant we couldn't research it. It was so hard. And that's why a lot of the studies were done overseas in other countries, because the U.S. wouldn't allow us to study it. Again, purely for profit. It's just, industrialists did not want to compete with this plant. Whether it was people that were making paint, or the people that were doing petroleum, or the people that were making clothes or cotton, paper, newspapers, the list goes on and on. Medicine, in 1936, there was over, 2 million prescriptions that were written for cannabis oil for headaches and other various pain-related type things. In 1937, they passed the Marijuana Tax Act that made it illegal. So the American Medical Association went to Congress and was like, what are you doing? This is one of our most powerful tools in the toolkit, and you guys take it out without it consulting with us? These are the facts. These are the things that happen. The good news is, here we are. We're going to go from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3. Hemp, which is less than 0.3% THC, is illegal federally. Many, many millions of people now are living happier, healthier lives because they have had access to this plant. And we're just here to keep talking about it. If you have questions, you can reach out to me personally. J. Benton, Benton, at 101cbd.org. Love to hear your questions or insights. If you want to be a guest or anything I can do to help, you know where to find me. That's where to find me. So at the end of every Miracle Plant podcast, we say, heal the world, because that's the mission. Reach 1 billion people by 2025. Be it videos, education, seeds, products, whatever it is. Just that people can have an understanding that there is a better way. There's a natural way that can help with everyday pain, stress, anxiety, sleep, but also major health issues. And I was so blessed to find this plant when I was looking for a solution for my son when he was diagnosed with a severe autism. After he was healthy, all of a sudden there was sudden regression. Thank you, Western medicine, for that. And but I found the miracle plant, and now millions of other people are going to have better lives because of the tough times that we went through getting our son healthy again. And we're just sharing what worked for us so it can help for you and your loved ones, or you, or even your pets. Like I said, some of the best stories I hear and the most emotional stories I hear in the store are people thanking me for extending their pets' lives for years, and letting them be healthy and have a spring in their step and things like that. So anyways, happy 200th podcast. What a cool milestone. I hope this podcast has changed your life in some way. If it has, I'd love to hear it. Send me an email, jbenton@101cbd.org. Let's just keep going on. Send this podcast to somebody that needs to hear it, that could save their life or improve their life. And like I said, if they want a health consultation for free, it's askjanet.org, and you can set up a call for free and have your questions asked about health and this miracle plant and diet and the things that you can do to take control of your health. So on the count of 3, let's say heal the world and get out there and do it in our own special way. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Heal the world! Thanks for swinging by the Miracle Plant Podcast. Be a blessing, everybody, and happy healing!
Thanks for listening to today's show. To check out more great cannabis podcasts, go to podconnects.com. Here's a preview of one of our other shows.
Hey there, my name is Leah Babrudi, and I'm the founder and host of Canachicks Podcast, where I discuss cannabis, psychedelics, and other natural medicines. I not only interview people who use them as treatment for different conditions, but also the entrepreneurs who share their knowledge on how they built their businesses. If this sounds interesting to you, give my show a listen. I'm sure you'll learn something that'll surprise you.